Auth66. I think we're day 38. Late night recording. There might be some pauses in my talking. It's been a long day. And I guess maybe that's the talk for today. In my case, today is a long day because there's just a lot of things kind of thrown at me. We also let somebody go today, which obviously I'm not going to talk about in my Auth66 because that would be disrespectful to that person, but also I'm pretty sure there's like legalities involved with that too. But anyway, what I can't talk about that. What I can talk about is sometimes the difficulties of being in a leadership or a management position where you have to make tough calls like that. Or what a bad day looks like when you're kind of at the top of a food chain and you have to, look at handling your own emotions, handling your own processing of what's going on in front of you, as well as an entire team or entire company. And, I would love to say that that is something that's easy, but it's not. I think humanity says it shouldn't be, but some people maybe bear it better than others. But it's just difficult. And I don't know if, that part gets talked about as much. I mean, if a large company has, a percentage of their staffing that they let go of all one time, it's cursed to business, and, lots of talking about how, we're all just numbers and, businesses treat us that way. But, when you look at the numbers, it's actually a really crazy statistic. But like in Canada, for example, 74% of the businesses that are run here are under 10 people. So that means for every tough decision like that, there's a boss who has to make it, or a manager that has to make it and deliver that information and deal with what that looks like. And, decisions can be necessary, but it doesn't change that we're all human, and that tough decisions, whether they be that or whether they be, any kind of restructuring, it's just hard. And I think when I create these videos, I kind of want to give like nuggets or advice or whatever. And in this case here, I think it's just an acknowledgement for those of you that are in the same type of positions, who are in the positions that hold other people in the balance. I mean, I know how difficult it is. I see it. And maybe you can know that you're not alone in finding that difficult, because it's very easy when you're the one who still has your job to be the villain. And that's not like a woe is me or whatever situation. It's more just an acknowledgement of it's difficult. And it can be lonely in that difficulty because, it is from a place of privilege, but it doesn't change how it feels. And I know there are a fair amount of people that, when they get in those types of positions, it wears on them, and it makes for a rough day. And I mean, that's just that particular situation in front of you, never mind anything else that could be going on in your day. But maybe it's good to know that it's not just difficult for you, it's difficult for other people too. And maybe that's something that on a vulnerable scale, I would say that if you have to struggle with things like that, I know I've done it for other people in this space, where if there's personnel issues that make you think, you might end up in that position, and you want someone to help you kind of walk through what options there could be before having to look at letting someone go. I'm a big proponent of giving people chances and, trying to help them and meeting people where they're at. So I'm always available. I'm a LinkedIn message away, or if you're on MSP Geek or Slack or Discord, feel free to reach out, because I think, the humanity side says that we need to do the things that we can to try and help everybody be successful. And the business side says that when you've exhausted all those options, then, you have to make some decisions for the team in front of you. And I'm not saying that's what happened here. I'm just saying that in general in business, that's the way it is. And I think we lose something when we don't acknowledge just how difficult that is. So if you're the type of person who's interested in making sure that you kind of haven't left anything on the table, or if you're also in the same position where, you know, you've had to make a difficult decision and you've had to face that, then feel free to reach out. And on the flip side, if you are an employee at a company and you don't understand why someone was let go, you have to know that most employers can't divulge a ton of information. It puts them at super liability or risk, but you could probably ask them really structured questions, you know, that give you an idea. I've had some really great ones asked to me over the years. Something like, I've got one employee who's asked me, what could I do to avoid following down the same path? And really what they're looking for is the lesson, right? What lesson could I learn from this? And that's an incredibly healthy way to look at it. But it's also a really easy and open, honest way to have a conversation without talking about specifics or whatever, about the types of things that could land somebody, you know, in hot water or make them not necessarily be a fit, or, you know, whatever's going on in the company. That's a really great one. Another one I've had is, you know, was there communication, right? Was there communication with this person in order to help them? It's a really good indicator as to whether or not the team that you're a part of is one that is supportive in terms of trying to help translate. And I think to one of my other, I don't remember if it was yesterday or a million years ago, that's how time is passing at the moment, but to one of the other comments that I made about radical candor, I mean, Kim Scott does a really great job of saying, like, if you have a person in an office and they have a certain attitude that rubs everybody the wrong way, if nobody tells them about it, if nobody addresses it with them, and they just roll their eyes and say, oh, that's this person, that's the way that they are, but nobody gives them the feedback to be able to try and change, then it's not just on them, it's also, you know, kind of on you too. And, you know, that's to my leaders and managers, your feedback, your coaching is super important to be able to give people many chances and points of data, really, to be able to be successful. And on the employee side, if you get that kind of feedback, I know it's really easy to be defensive. I mean, I don't always take feedback the correct way either, but try to be open and receptive and think, like, what if there was some truth to this? What could I learn? Because it's incredibly difficult to give that kind of feedback. So there has to be some intention behind it. And that's an important thing to acknowledge. You want to be a part of a team that, for better or worse, is going to give you what you need to be able to grow as a person, grow in your role. And that's a sign of that. So anywho, that is my meander for the day. Some days are just difficult, and some days you show up anyway and do what you can. See you tomorrow.